Let's talk about autistic areas of need. And this one builds upon my detailed brain theory. If you haven't seen that video, I highly recommend that you watch that part first, because that will give you greater context to this concept, although it will make sense by itself. Let's get into this one. It doesn't need to be overcomplicated. We're just going to talk over one slide. So, you will probably be used to hearing autistic needs or challenges or areas of management, areas of difference grouped into three categories. That's pretty consistent. What they are really changes depending on who you talk to, whether you're looking at medical stuff, whether you're looking at kind of the more community stuff. And yeah, as you can imagine, I probably swing a lot more towards the community stuff. So I'm just going to take you through them. So I want you to keep in mind the idea of the autistic brain is orienting itself around details. So starting with sensory regulation, well, what does that mean? I've already spoken about how sensory input is such a richer experience for autistic people. So it's no surprise that the act of simply regulating all those senses is much you've got to have a much more conscious effort around it. Everybody does need to sensory regulate, whether you're autistic or not, but that's why we separate it into its area of need within autistic need, because we know that there has to be attention around that for most autistic people most of the time. Second one being about socialization, communication, interaction, sometimes shortened, as I've got there, to social communication interaction. Now, this is about if you're going to have a brain that's orientated around details, it's understandable that things like interpreting language, understanding social rules, all these kinds of things can be really confusing if there's generalization going on in how it happens in our society. So that's not what we focus on in this. Is what does an autistic person need to be able to ensure that we can communicate in the way that feels most natural to us, how we can understand things in the way that feels most natural to us, and how do we just generally make sense of this very weird world that we live in. And the last one, certainties and consistency. I feel that's the one where people are less familiar with that as a term. It's very much on the rise. I think it was me that coined it, but I'm seeing it pop up in other places since. So, but either way, typically you would have seen this one clinically called restricted interests, repetitive behaviours, and why can't I remember it? It's because I discard the that kind of stuff. What this is about is the fact that an autistic person can see so much detail in the world, therefore we can see so much more uncertainty. Therefore there's going to be a lot more anxiety. Therefore there's got to be a lot more effort into how we manage the certainties and consistencies, and how we don't end up being too much of a having too much of detriment to our well-being because of that. So it's definitely an area of need that happens where there's something around it. There's also the positive side that it fits in there, which is all about interests. I really enjoy it. And it's pretty much as simple as that. These are three needs, areas of needs. We will, of course, explore them in immense detail. But yeah, there's the kind of headline view of it. And I feel I like these. I've sat with these as these three categories for a while, and they've really worked for me. They've really worked in how I've explained them. So stay tuned for more detail. I should do the thank you slide once again. I'm really not good at ending these things, but please ask away at any questions you have upon this, and I shall see you in another video. Thank you.